Hi, I'm Ellie,
And I'm Kat.
and you are listening to Virtual Ventures.
So today we are going to be joined by an SVAI member to chat through their experiences of building a VA business from getting started to where they are now.
We are delighted to welcome Anne Marie Maher from Maher Support Solutions to talk through her business journey, how she started out, and where she is now. Anne Marie, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
We're delighted to have you here. So thank you so much for doing this. And it's always great just to have these conversations with people. We started doing these kind of sessions before on our Instagram where we ran
Yeah.
some Instagram lives and we would go behind the laptop, as we said, and we ran a kind of a spotlight series because we found that people are just so interested in hearing other people's stories of how they got started, how their businesses have evolved, what they did, the challenges they faced, all of that sort of stuff, and everyone wants to know that. So everyone's journey is really important for us to hear about as well. So thank you for coming and joining us on one of these sessions. And I suppose the best place to really kick this off is how did you get started? Give us a bit of
Yeah.
background about you and where you came from initially and where you're based and then maybe how you got into the whole VA world.
Yeah, well, so I suppose my name is Anne Marie. My business name is Maher Support Solutions, but I don't really use that. And I suppose what I'm doing now is I am helping people with their back office tasks. So my clients are small businesses and they have more time to focus on why they started the business and growing the business rather than working on the back office stuff, the weeds. Um, in terms of how I started, I was made redundant last year in March, and after the initial shock, I really wanted to make sure I wasn't making a knee-jerk decision and going out and finding a similar role in a different business, a different company. And I said, we'll just take a minute and really assess. I love working. I love being, it's really important to me. Like I get a lot of satisfaction out of it. I get a lot of purpose from it. But I wanted to make sure that first of all, I had longevity. I want to be able to work well into my retirement, and I wanted to future-proof myself so that I had more control over what I was doing and really assess that, my strengths were supported in what I was doing. Um, so I took a minute and I had some time and I lived my best life. We extended
Love
our
that.
holiday we usually go to France on holidays and we made that a much longer holiday. And I was doing a diploma in the Institute of Banking. So that was kind of keeping my mind going at night. That was great. And then I started doing some Leo courses. I went to Ballymaloe for a day for a demonstration, and I suppose my circle kind of changed. So I was beginning to, I was beginning to see different people and how they worked and how they lived. And there was a lot of freelancers in that environment. And I could see that, they were able to blend the two quite well together. And their passion for what they're doing really came through. And, their joie de vivre was part of their work. And vice versa. You could see how their life and their work blended together. So that all appealed to me. And then I started working with a career coach. And she was fantastic, because we were really assessing where my strengths were, where I found flow, what I liked doing, what motivated me, and what my core values were. And we had that work done, I really had a lens to assess, you know, what what work I liked, or would I like to do that, and I would check it to my strengths and my values and see, and then dig deeper or not.
Yeah. Can I
And some
ask,
of
Anne
our
Marie? Oh, sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
go for it.
I was just going to ask, had you ever thought about becoming self-employed before you were made redundant? Was it ever anything
Yeah,
that crossed
yeah,
your mind?
yeah. Do you know what? The return to office policies coming into our
Mm,
work was becoming really difficult. And, there was a few points, in the year before that I was saying to Alan, my husband, I'm not sure this is going to work. I'm not
yeah.
sure. And then, the longevity, I really did believe in I want to be able to travel and work, and I don't like this, retiring at 66. Um, so yeah, that was playing on me for probably a good year before. I think
Okay.
it was a great opportunity. Like I really wanted to see the redundancy as an opportunity to change how I was working.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because I think for a lot of people, if a redundancy or something like that's it's a shock to the system, you
Yeah,
know? So you might
it
think,
is.
okay, what can I do next just straight away? But if you'd already had it in mind,
Yeah,
it was more like an opportunity for you, I suppose,
absolutely.
to explore. And when did you first come across the term virtual assistant, I suppose?
I honestly don't know. I was trying to think where did I come across Society of Virtual Assistants? I'm guessing it was online, and I'm not online that much, but I was in a research kind of mode. So,
Mm,
I think I started to explore um, Grow Remote, for example. I went
yeah.
to a few of those networking meetings, and I was looking at the remote working, and somehow in there I found virtual assistants. And I signed up with you guys actually. And I started attending the monthly meetings, and they were fantastic. Like it really was a community of people coming on and sharing their highs and their lows, and the highs were celebrated by everyone, and the lows, people gave their experience or, their advice and really supported them, and I suppose the breadth of the industry really came through as well, because virtual assistants, I'm not sure it is like there was marketers, there was podcasters, there was accountants, there was everything in there, so I suppose that fit with my career lens, on I could see, oh yeah, I could do that, or that would kind of suit me. Yeah, those monthly meetings were great.
Do you know what can I just say? I just think the whole year or several months that you had on the lead up to starting your business sounds
Yeah, it
absolutely amazing. It
Yeah, it
sounds
does.
like such a
was.
journey and
It was.
discovery and
Yeah.
exploration
Coming
that not
back to
everybody
yourself,
gets.
kind of. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and well, I think it stands to probably who you are and probably what really stands out for you as well in that the skills that you can offer as well, a
Yeah.
person how
Mm,
methodical you are as well about things
Right.
like just from listening to you
Yeah.
there and your journey. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot you can take from that about how you approach things.
Yeah.
The analysis, even the real thought that goes into something, to the
Yeah.
decision. That's amazing. Like, and even those
Yeah.
things, some people forget that, really tapping into who we are and understanding that, like, we can really unlock a lot of skills that we don't
mm,
understand that we actually have. We might not
Yeah.
realize because they might not be the day-to-day skills that we would have done in our past employment, let's say. But if we
Mhm.
really get to know ourselves and tap into that. So I love that because we've heard of various, different scenarios of how people got started. And some of them are really quick and, they have to do it, they have to get something working, or some of them are
mm.
Yeah.
just kind of a bit more kind of can I say maybe half-assed really, in the starting approach as
Yeah.
well. But it's a lovely actually journey, and actually it
Yeah.
seems like something I would enjoy myself nearly the way that you
Oh, I
navigate.
did.
But what I
Yeah, I
love as
did.
well is how immersed you became, how you really saw that
Yeah.
immersing yourself in that world in a sense, and really understanding, building out that kind of network siding things,
Mm.
and again
Yeah.
following the curiosity to understand what goes on. I love that piece that you talked
Mhm.
about there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And like to be like, I think a lot of that, like we lived in Luxembourg for 17 years, our adult life, the beginning of our adult life really. And I suppose that Luxembourg really is a melting pot of all different cultures. We had friends that were African, Chilean, Swedish, Italian, and they all lived quite differently. How do they family? How do they celebrate? How do they work? And I suppose that broadened we started to see how, they approached life in different ways. So, when we came back here, um, we had experienced that, and we were always I always kind of do look, how do they figure that out now? And, I like a bit of difference. So yeah, I am curious about that. But yeah, I think Luxembourg is what sparked that. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So take us back. So you
Yeah.
went
Sorry.
about that journey of exploration and
Yes.
discovery And then so you started your business officially in November 25. So we are now
Yeah.
recording in April 26.
Yes.
You started your business in November 25.
Yeah.
Talk us through that kind of setup process for you when you sort of
Yeah, like I finished the diploma and I started the boot camp and I loved that. And at some point in the boot camp, I got a bit bogged down. I think I'd started that in August, September,
Mhm.
and I was telling everyone at this point this is what I was going to do. And one of my friends said you should try North Tipperary Development, and so I went in and they were fantastic. Like they helped me get a grant first of all with Intro, which was it was great it was another kind of motivator.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I think in the long run, they put me in touch with three different mentors. And I thought I was going to have one, but it ended up being three. And talking about my business plan, they didn't hold back. They really challenged everything that I was thinking and my mindset and how I was approaching things. And I relished the challenge because, I didn't have the answer right then and I had to think about it. And it made me more confident about what I was going to do or I was going to change, to answer those problems that they had seen. So they were great. They were really good. And then through the vault, the SVAI vault, I started looking at those videos and um, a few of those people, I really liked them. And like, if I had questions, I emailed them. I went
Mhm.
straight to them. And they were so generous with their time. So I feel like I have a bank of mentors now, that I ask questions to. And they jumped on calls with me. And a few of them just said, you need to get going. You need to just start. And I had to find a client. And so I called, I think it was a really wet, October day, and I called my oldest friend. And over the years, she'd been saying her husband is really struggling with, not struggling, but he had a lot going on in his business and it was growing, and she was doing her best to support him. And she has, a challenging job as well, and it was getting more and more difficult to manage. So I called her out of the blue and I said, I'm starting a business, explained everything. And I said, would your husband be interested? Could I
Amazing.
support him for a few hours? And I put a proposal together and sent it to her. And so they were my first client.
Wow.
And they're fantastic. Like I say, they stress tested the business. When they said yes, I didn't have a laptop. Um, and I got my insurance and cybersecurity, but they really spurred me on along the way. And then, my like pretty soon after, my career coach got in touch, and a colleague of hers was looking for somebody to support her. And I'm not going to lie, she sent me the job advert, and I said I can't do that, and she said, of course you can. And I met her, and I'm supporting her now as well in her business. And it's fantastic. It's great. So I have that, and then I was lucky enough. I went to the summit, the SVAI summit, met great people there. But one of the OGs, I call her, one of the original virtual assistants, was looking for an associate. So I have an associateship with her, which I love. I learned so much from her. Completely different role again. Like, I think all, my portfolio, I call it my portfolio now. They're all so different. And I love that. I'm doing payroll, I'm doing expenses, I'm doing project
Yeah.
management, scheduling. I just love it. It's all so different. And I suppose the one thing that all my clients have in common is that they are really passionate about their business. They've worked, they love it, and they love what they do, and they needed a little bit more time to grow and focus on the business itself rather
Yeah.
than the weeds and the minutiae, around that. Um, and I guess, in their circumstance, they didn't have enough work for a full-time employee. And, that's a huge responsibility to take somebody on. So to be able
Unfortunately.
to get me in, for a few hours a month, really works for them.
Mm.
And, it's a business expense on their side. It's completely outsourced. So,
Yeah.
from a tax point of view, works too. It's great. It works.
It
It's a
works great
win-win. It's a
for
win-win.
everybody. I have to
Yeah.
say, Anne Marie, you
Yeah.
really supported yourself to start your business.
Yeah.
Like you went to all the places and like local supports,
Yeah.
even in your area, which are fantastic and I think can be underutilized at times. I think
Absolutely.
sometimes when we think online business, we kind of forget about like yeah,
Yeah.
your local enterprise office or
Yeah.
whoever are going to help you. Because same as me, I got a grant when I started out too, and I think
Did
it's
you?
one that's
Okay.
not talked about very often is the short-term enterprise allowance. If you were
Yes.
unemployed before you started your business,
Hmm.
you were made redundant. So I imagine you were able to get something. And
Something
I was
similar.
COVID, so yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's very helpful. So that's something to look out for if anyone was in the situation. It is there for you. But then you even found, us and different mentors, and you
Yes.
really enabled yourself to like do this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think one of my values is community and connection.
Mm.
And I suppose all my clients now, I've met them all in person.
Ah,
And so I'm open to, like, I'm in the local village development committee. I'm really open. I suppose, like, when I was in the corporate world, I was driving an hour away. And I loved being back home and really figuring
mm,
out the town, and the people. And I was around a lot more. So, when somebody said North Tipperary can develop, can help, and they're in town, I was like, yeah, I'll call them. Yeah, I love that.
Can
cool.
I ask as well, out of curiosity, because this is something that comes up a lot, would you describe yourself as an extrovert or introvert
No,
or somewhere in between?
I would say
Interesting.
I'm an introvert.
Mm,
Now, I would say I'm an introvert, um, in terms of like, in terms of work. I like to dig in, figure out a problem, and that's where I find flow. I map it all out, and I'm quite individual about it.
Mm,
In my past roles, I was always more comfortable being the support person rather than being the front and center.
mm,
So I love, like, I was supporting directors, I was supporting people who were speaking to clients, who are head of departments, that kind of thing. And I always loved kind of listening to what was going wrong, figuring it
mm,
out, running with it, figuring it out and coming back rather than the person that's head on. Um,
mm.
I don't know, does that answer your question?
It
So
does. Yeah.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I think for a lot of people entering this, what appeals, I think, to a lot of people as well,
mm,
like we find in our industry, both myself and Ellie as well, are introverts who can be extroverted when we
okay,
need to
yeah.
be.
yes,
A lot of people entering this, like they relish the idea of just being able to work on their own, just being able to get their head down, doing their own
yeah,
time, their own space, not have someone
Mm,
over their shoulder, not have to, get up in front of a room. But then comes the idea, the fact that you're actually still running a business and you still have to get yourself out there in some way. That
yes.
doesn't have to be necessarily showing up on social media and doing all these live videos and, talking head videos, but networking situations,
Yeah,
letting the community know. So I wanted to sort of highlight that just to see where you stand in that, just to let other people know that it is possible, even with those introvert kind of tendencies
yeah,
or traits, and that you can do that once you're proactive about it. And that's what's really coming out to me about you is that proactive, that mindset, that,
yeah,
growth
absolutely.
mindset, in your approach,
Mm,
which I'm loving.
yeah, yeah. Like, very simple things like the park run in the local town, or being at the side. Like, I suppose I am really invested in my business, so I tell everyone about it. Um, and while I say I'm an introvert, there are times where if I'm all week, at home, I do like to have a conversation. So I
of
will
course. Yeah.
Mhm.
scope that out.
Yeah.
Networking is definitely not my forte. Um, but to be honest, any challenges that I meet, I say, do you know what? I'm running my business now. I need this. I need to
Ah,
get ahead of this. So I kind of see it as a challenge.
It's your
Um,
yeah, it's
motivation
kind of,
too.
yeah.
mm. And it's like you can almost put yourself in character as,
Yes.
you
Yes.
step outside of you yourself and put you, the business,
There's kind of
and
like
Right.
two separate people sometimes, isn't there?
it
Like it is
can
the
be.
same person, but you might act like slightly differently. Maybe, straighten up a bit and speak a little bit different when you're in business mode type of thing. But I wouldn't say that networking isn't your forte, Anne Marie, because I think have you gotten all of your clients through connections you've made?
They've all been through human connection, and I love
Yeah.
that. I
Mm.
do love that. But
And
yeah.
I think that's key, actually, what you've just
Yeah.
said there, because again, I think a lot of people, when they think networking, they just automatically think of going into a room full of other professionals and having to go up and make these conversations and start them. And it's like, oh my God, that's just like a
Yeah.
lot
I
of
can't
people
do
think
that.
to take and but
Business cards.
yeah, but exactly what you said, and I loved what you said there. You just mentioned the park run, and this
Yeah.
we always talk
Yeah.
about this in SVI as well. We tell people, talk to your hairdresser, your mechanic, your
Everyone.
GP, your
Yeah.
talk
Everyone.
to
Yeah.
anyone and everyone. It doesn't have to
Mm.
be this room full of professionals,
No.
because you never know who's going to know someone or who might need support, or and we mentioned this whole thing about it's all about who you know. And yes, absolutely, go out there, get to know people, understand where people are, what their needs are, potential, and everything like that. But also, it's about who knows you, because you want
Yeah.
to first, you want to be front of mind when they have the need, or when they hear of someone who has a need. You want to
Yeah.
be, the person that they recall to the front of their brain and go, oh, actually, Anne Marie, there's a girl down the road, there's a local girl, there's, whoever,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see the person on Instagram, I see, whoever, wherever it is that you're showing up, just keep talking. And I love that you've highlighted that today in this piece, that it doesn't have to look like this typical networking room situation that we always
Absolutely
Yeah.
not. Hmm.
we
Yeah.
can work
Yeah.
people.
And I suppose I'm still in research. I'm still new. I'm still learning. So
Yeah.
when I go in, I'm almost more curious about what they do and how they've done it, So yeah,
And
I
that's a good thing.
really,
That's really starts a conversation in a
yeah,
different way
I'm
without feeling
curious.
like, oh, I have to go in here now and kind of sell myself. You're like, no, I'm going
Yeah.
in here to like meet these people and learn from them. It's a
Yeah.
great way to approach it, no matter what stage you're at in your business.
It is.
Yeah, it's superb. Like, because people love to talk about themselves as well. And if you show that you're interested in
I
them,
was just telling.
and you're
Yeah.
making eye contact, you're really listening to what they're
Mm,
saying, you're taking it in. Again, that stands to you as well, in that the skills that you're offering and the approach that
Yeah.
you will take to working with their business, that you will be interested, that you want to know, that the inner workings of a business. That all
Yeah.
stands to what you do as
Yeah.
a VA as well,
Yeah.
exactly.
So tell us, where are you now in the business? Where are you at with regards, capacity wise? How are you managing?
Yeah. I'm at I'm at capacity. I kind of capped my hours at 25 hours because I
Mhm.
wanted to have enough time to grow the business and have
Yeah.
scope. I was also doing an I course in UCD on AI, and I want to be able to grow and develop and bring that into the business too. So I would say I'm at capacity, but I love my little portfolio, and if something interesting came along, I don't think I could
Mm.
say no.
I add to it.
Luckily, my husband is my biggest cheerleader, and he doesn't mind. Um,
Love it.
I would say that with the three that I have, I'm almost through onboarding. I think I thought onboarding would take 3 weeks. I just get access and that'll be it. But what's actually happened is that I get access and I do a job, and then I'm saying, hold on, I think I could add, I could do this as well. What do you think? Do you want me to do that
Mm.
or not? So things are constantly evolving and changing, and I love that. I don't think
Yeah.
what I'm doing this year, even if I stay with just these clients, I think it'll be very different next year.
That's
Uh,
so
Yeah.
exciting, isn't it?
yeah,
It is
I
so
love that.
exciting. Do you know,
Yeah,
it sounds like you're a person, like from what you said, that really loves the variety of everything you do.
yeah,
And I
I
think
do.
that's, I'd be the same as you. I love
Yeah,
that too. And I think that's a good point to make too, because there's a lot of talk about niching out there. And
yeah,
I totally
yes.
understand the power of niching and
Mhm.
why people think that you have a specific area you work in, it'll be easier to market. But do you know what? Some of us just love the variety and all the different
Yeah,
things that we can do.
yeah, and I think
And
like
that's
especially
okay.
with AI and stuff as well, like
Mm,
I can see, oh, I could use that in this client's work, and if it works there, I might try it in the other. You can see how even like my businesses are all very, very different, but I can see what I learn in one will help the
another.
other, which is great, which I love.
Yeah, and I think some people kind of forget that fact as well, that when we talk about niching or specializing in an area, often we think like we have to specialize in the exact service that we
Mm,
provide.
Yeah,
But a lot of the time we can actually specialize, in we can provide any service, but we can
yeah,
specialize in like a specific industry and provide a variety of services to that
to
industry.
that. Yeah.
Another
mhm,
way to kind of look at it as well. So we're not stuck in that box, as we like to say all the time,
yeah,
is
Never stick in
we
a
can
box.
play around with it. But can I come back to something you
yeah,
actually said earlier as well? And I just like to highlight this because I do see this coming up a bit, is you said that someone presented a kind of a job description or job brief to you and you went,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
no, I couldn't do that. And then you went for it.
Tell
Because
us.
we see that a lot where people think, if they don't know everything, then
Yeah.
They
they're not
can't
good,
do
then
it.
they can't do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So they see something where someone's looking for it and there's all these things listed, maybe several platforms, one of them out of three or two of them out of five, and then you think, oh, well, I can't apply for that. But what we're always trying to encourage as well is that sometimes what the client doesn't understand is it could be a split role, where you
Mm.
could come in as the expert in these areas for the ones that you
Yeah.
do know, you could get someone else for the other one, or it could be a role where, especially if it's a client that maybe you already have in certain areas, or it's someone that you know, like, and trust, you have a relationship built up. If
Yeah.
there is full transparency there and you say,
Yes.
look, I haven't used this yet, but you personally can see the benefit of using that platform for other clients as well. It's not just bespoke to this client. If
Yeah.
I learn this skill, actually, that's going to be really beneficial to me. So you
Yeah.
approach the client and say, look, I know these ones, I'm not too familiar with this, but I love to learn. I'm a really quick learner. I'm
Yes.
really happy to give this a go. Full transparency, that's how we kind of try and encourage a lot of people to try and step out of their comfort zone and into this idea of learning new skills as well.
Yeah.
Bring your client along with it. So how did that look for you?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to lie. Like, I spoke to my career coach and said, I don't think I can do that job. And she broke
Mm.
it down and said, you absolutely can. So, but in hindsight, I think what really was blocking me was, the corporate world is quite constrained. There's a lot of caveats, there's a lot of red tape.
Mm.
And the freelancer world is very, very different.
Very
You
different.
have to be agile, you have to back yourself. You say yes, and then you figure it out. And
Yeah.
you do figure it out. Like, I have the grit, I have,
Absolutely.
I like a mess. I like figuring something out. And I suppose, like, when I met my client, in person, and I actually told her that I wasn't going to apply for the job. We it was more important that we had communication and we understood each other, and it really is a partnership between the two of us. I don't want to be working for somebody that I'm not adding value, I'm
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
supporting, and um I suppose once the trust was there and we knew communication was there, and I was able to show that I had done challenging things before, she was all about transformation and that kind of thing, and I was concerned that I didn't know her industry, um, but um, that confidence comes along the way, and I don't, like, without the career coach, would I have went for the job? Probably not, because I was new to it and I'm new to the freelancing world, and I really, yeah. So I don't know what the advice is there, or I didn't do it the hard way. I got all the support from the outside people, and they pushed me along, which was great, and
Which is a
I'm
great lesson for
it
people
is,
because I
yeah,
think, as you said, the freelancing world is so different
it
from the
is,
corporate world. And
yeah.
when you first step into it and you see, oh, I couldn't do that, as time goes on, you realize I can, I'll
Yes.
figure it out, I'll
Yeah.
ask this person. But in the beginning, it can be very much, oh, no, I couldn't do that. And we might
Yeah.
end up saying no to opportunities and things because
Exactly.
we're not sure. But I think, you had surrounded yourself
Yeah.
by and immersed yourself into the world of self-employment and
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. And so you
Yeah.
got the support you needed to help you
Yeah.
keep moving. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that we can all lack a little bit at the start of our business journeys. Like me and Kat actually spoke about this recently, about how you need to immerse yourself in the world to keep moving and make a really good go at it, because
Yeah.
the people in your life may not necessarily, it depends, but may not necessarily support you in the way that you hoped. And that's purely because they don't understand it.
Yeah.
So if we did approach someone in our life and said, in the exact same situation, right, and said, I
Yeah.
don't think I can do this, they might go, yeah, maybe you can't, not realizing that you could because it's just not their world, do you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And you need to be reminded of that. You need to you remind yourself that you're in a different, the mindset needs to change here, and you can,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's also a lovely lesson in it as well about asking for help, and not, like understanding that we don't know it all. We can't
Yeah.
possibly know
No.
everything. So why not, like, if there's resources out there, if there's supports out there, ask the question, join, sign up for the
Yeah.
course, register for the webinar, whatever it is. Like there's
Yeah.
no shame in it because you're not going to get any extra medals for being a martyr and trying to do all this on your own, you know?
Yeah.
So it's absolutely no shame. And again, that's the whole thing with SVAI as well. It's all about the community and together we're stronger.
Absolutely.
So by
Yeah.
supporting each other, because we see that all the time as well with other VAs supporting each other and
Mhm.
create this lovely community and culture. And then before long, because people are learning from each other, there's this whole group learning mentality. Because
Mm.
people are learning from each other and getting places faster because of the support of each
Because
other.
of the shared
And
experience.
they're
Yeah.
bringing other people along with them. So we have,
Amazing.
you mentioned her already, you're working as an associate with another VA inside there, inside
Yes.
SVI.
Amazing.
We see that all the time. We see these
Yeah.
collaborations, people building agencies and bringing people with them. And,
Mhm.
it's amazing. So I think like the more we encourage people to actually look at what's out there, you're not on your own. There are tools and resources available and supports for everyone out there. You just have to raise your head up out of the sand and ask
Yes.
a question and immerse, like you said, Ellie, as well, immerse yourself and just, yeah. Um,
Into the world. Yeah, totally. Just yeah, it's there. Just go and get it. But so
Mhm.
you're 5 months in business now.
Yes.
You're at capacity
Yes.
and you're loving your work, your clients, things are
Loving it.
constantly evolving. You want to work on the business development. It
Yes.
sounds like you're pretty busy, right, with all
Yes.
the different bits and bobs. So how do you manage the work life harmony, as we like to call it, Kat,
Yeah.
don't we, rather than balance? How do you manage that, especially when your business is in your house and extremely accessible to you?
Well, like accessible is the word, I suppose, my past world, it was constrained, to 9 to 5, and that was because everyone else needed to be
Yeah.
online. Like, I understand that. At the moment, my life has completely changed. I have clients that understand, you know, my clients really are my partners. I need to understand their business and how they operate, how they communicate, and they need to understand mine. So I have core hours that I work. But if there is an orthodontist appointment or a football game that I need to go to, I have flexibility there.
Cool. Mhm.
Yeah, my office is in my home, so I do open the laptop at weekends. I do pick it up. Um, it doesn't, because it's my business, it doesn't seem like a chore,
Yeah.
or
No, you
it
love it.
isn't a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a way of life. So at the moment, I'm relishing in the flexibility and the freedom it gives me to be able to work when I can work.
Mhm.
Um, so that's what I love. Yeah.
So I suppose with that, we might just ask you some of our kind of
Yeah.
as we call them, like quick fire. Now they don't have to be very quick, so don't worry. But some kind of questions that we think are would be useful for others to hear as well.
Yeah.
So okay, so one thing again, and I know again you're 5 months of business, but
Yeah.
still there's a starting point and you're 5 months ahead of where someone else is at. But if you could go
Absolutely.
back and give yourself one piece of advice on day one, what would it be?
Um, it would be like, I think I'm speaking to the people who are thinking about becoming virtual assistants here, because and I would say it's two little words, just start. And to me, they're two small words, but they're quite powerful. Um, at the summit last year, Jill Lush was speaking, and she was saying that one thing that all virtual assistants have in common is that they're organized. And I think with that organization, you can perhaps put off, just
Mm,
starting. You want everything to be in place.
perfect.
I don't have a website yet. I haven't got my marketing down, but I'm doing it. And
Amazing.
when I was stuck and from talking to the mentors, a few of them started saying, you just need to start. And I, for one, I'm very glad I did.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And again, yeah, it comes back to that whole idea that people have it in their heads. They see a business running and
Yeah.
operating, and it's
Yeah.
you don't create that overnight. That evolves over time. And businesses that are established years are still evolving and still
Yeah.
changing and still learning. So
Yeah.
I think people do sometimes struggle to fully understand that. So I love that you said that. Okay, so what's one truth, maybe something you thought to
Oh,
be true before you started your business, and as you've started getting into the world and everything that you found, actually, that's not really the case.
I think I thought it just felt mammoth. I think
Yeah.
like that's
Hmm.
all I'd say. Like starting a business felt like this colossal mountain that I had no idea how to start. And the boot camp, I think, is a good roadmap for anyone starting a business. And Kat, again, I think in one of those monthly meetings, you said to me, you should treat up starting your business as your first client.
Mhm.
And that was key because that really got me off the blocks and, invested in building something.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'd say that's my one truth.
I love it. Love that. Okay. So is there anything on your business bucket list that,
Oh,
that's whether it's
yeah,
this year, next year, 10 years down the line?
yeah. Look, I well, there's two things, I suppose. Building into the longevity, I want to be able to travel with work.
Yeah.
Fab.
And um and then the second thing is I would like to envelope my past corporate experience somehow into it. So I used to support directors and that kind of thing, and I'd like to just be able to do that again, not to have lost all my knowledge and experience there. So that's on my short-term list. I'd love a little director now to support.
Oh,
Amazing.
brilliant. I love that. That's really cool. But where can people find you, Anne Marie, if we are to go look out for you on socials, give you a follow,
I'm on
connect?
LinkedIn. Anne Marie Maher on LinkedIn.
Fabulous.
That's where I
Yeah.
am. I
Yeah,
haven't done social
fantastic.
media yet.
What a story. I mean, it's amazing. See, I love that so much because, look, there's an awful lot of emphasis on the social media presence when you first start out, and how,
Yeah,
like, that's where you absolutely have to be, and that's like
yeah,
where your clients are going to come from. And it's Instagram in particular, I feel like a lot of
yes,
emphasis is on,
yeah,
and it just shows you're at your capacity already and you've not gotten started on the socials, which is amazing. Like, it's not the only tool in the toolboxes, we do say on the calls.
yeah. Like, look, I think I have to get there. But I think it might just have to show my personality a little bit. I
Hmm.
don't know. Do I have to rely on it completely? I really do like the human connection side.
Well, listen, Anne Marie Maher of Maher Support Solutions, thank you so much for joining us today. It was so lovely just to take that whole behind the scenes look at your business and kind of understand where it came from. And I think it's going to be really, really helpful to anyone who is out there on the fence thinking about doing this or is at the early stages of starting it again.
Yeah,
Like we said, no matter how many, even if you're a month into your business, you're a month ahead of some other people and they want to hear how you started, how you did it. So I think these conversations are really, really valuable to have.
yeah,
So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all of your knowledge and your experiences. It's been an absolute joy, and we're so, so proud of how far you've come already in such a short
amazing.
time,
Yeah,
and so excited to see the rest of the journey
Yeah.
as it turns out. It's going to be amazing.
Well, thank you. It's all down to you. I don't think I would have ever started if I hadn't met SVAI and everything you've done. You really are, a community. Like even going to the summit, the first, like I walked in the door and Lauren came up with a big hug and told me all about her
oh,
business and what I was
yeah.
doing. It really is a community and not competition, just like your tagline. But
Community, not
um,
competition. That's it exactly.
That's
yeah,
what we're only the facilitators. So you do the work, but it's as
well,
well, it's the
yeah,
people in it that are the community that,
Lucky to have
build
such
the
a great
culture
community.
inside it. And we're so
Mm,
lucky with everyone that's inside that community and how supportive they are. So
yeah,
I just facilitate it and you do the rest. So we're
yeah.
so grateful to you and to everyone else.
everyone. Yeah.
Well, I tell people I used to go to a lot of conferences, in the corporate world,
Mm.
and they were a sea of grey suits and gold watches, and SBAI is not that,
No,
you know.
it's
Absolutely
not.
not.
Definitely not.
Absolutely not. No, no, no. Well, listen, thank you so
Amazing.
much for joining us, Anne-Marie. We really
Brilliant.
appreciate it.